This book, if you really want to get into these asteroid goddesses, is by Demetra George and Douglas Block. And this is a treasure trove book. It's one that I refer to regularly. And one of the beautiful pieces of art in that book, I'm going to bring it up here, here's the moon and Venus as the center of the feminine energy. And then here are the four main asteroid goddesses: Vesta on the ascendant, Juno, Vesta the sister, Juno the wife, Ceres the mother, Pallas Athena the daughter, the four main feminine archetypes. And we have these in our chart. For me, it took a while for me to fully embrace my chart with these asteroid goddesses and realize my north node, my future way, I have Vesta right on my north node. And so oh, Vesta's been wanting to work with me. Of course, Vesta Mystery School, that's how that all came about. When you take a step further to begin to embody these feminine archetypes within your own chart, you can begin to move your female energy and step out of this patriarchal influence that we've all been raised in different ways. And so I'm going to bring up some images of these asteroid goddesses so that you can get a better archetypal idea. So here we have Vesta, who's also known in Greece as Hestia. And she is the keeper of the flame. And in Roman days, the Vestal virgins helped heal the men when they would come home from war. They wouldn't send the men straight back to their families saying, well, good luck with that PTSD there. They would send them to the Vestal virgins who would heal them in every way, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Then they would be sent back to their families. It was a very, very high privilege to be a Vestal virgin in Roman days. And they were, this is in Rome. This is the Vesta temple that is still there in Rome that you can go to. Vesta is also about being true to your own calling and having this sense of completeness unto oneself, that we do not need another, that there's sacred service that's being asked of us at all times, and to know what that sacred service is, to keep the hearth fire, to keep it lit, which in many ways, this is in the center of the home. In fact, there were many, many years in Rome where this fire was lit year round. It never went out. In Greek days, the Vestal virgins were also known to heal men sexually as well, but the Roman culture of all that shifted. But this is like a well-lit third chakra. The warmth of this fire is kept lit, but it's not a raging fire. Because of the patriarchal culture we've been raised in, people get depressed and have no fire, or when they finally get their fire lit, it's all about like, I'm on fire, you know, here's what I'm gonna do, here's what, you know, and it's this really masculine energy because fire and air are the elements of yang, and they want freedom and independence. As human beings, we all need freedom and independence. Yet the yin elements of water and earth want stability and security. And those are the lower two chakras. You know, they are earth and water. They want stability, security. You start moving up into the third and suddenly it's like, well, I want freedom and independence, and this fire is lit. But most people's fire burns too high because of the culture we've been raised in that says we should really push and we should make it happen. But if we're working with the elements and we're working with the divine mother, we need to learn how to temper this fire. So moving to, let's go to Ceres, the great mother. So Ceres, or Demetra, I mean, this is a Greek image, which I really love, the goddess of agriculture. And she says, how do you choose to nurture others, and how do you like to be nurtured? Do you know what that is? This is a younger image of Ceres. And she's holding up, and you see it here, food, because she's the goddess of agriculture. She's the mother of Persephone, who Pluto stole and took to the underworld. And she grieved. She teaches us about grief. She teaches us about a mother's love and what it is to be connected to the earth itself, to grow food, to harvest food, to feed others, to feed ourselves. And so we need to have a relationship in our chart to where Ceres is, to understand how we need to be nurtured to feel whole, and how we nurture others, what house it's in, what sign it's in. That can be so helpful to understanding oneself. And that's really what the star map, the natal chart is. It's your star map to understand yourself. So now if we move here to Pallas Athena, she's the warrior queen, and she's all about using our creative intelligence. She was born in full armor out of the head of her father, Zeus. And she's looked upon in Athens as being equal to men. She looks over the city. She is, you know, a wonderful warrior with her sword of truth. You know, she's wherever she is in the chart is where you have tremendous capacity for creative intelligence, not just knowledge, but wisdom. And so, you know, this is, I chose images that are gentle and strong at the same time. And you see a lot, like I was on Pinterest, I was all over looking for these images. And, you know, I've never quite used the word goddess very often in my healing work, because I think there's just so much out there of women standing with their hair blowing in the wind. I'm a goddess, you know, and I'm not into that in that way. I think that we have the feminine, we have the masculine, we want to stand equal, and we want to understand one another. But as women, we want to understand the power of the archetypes so that we can use this energy in a balanced way. Pallas Athena is very resourceful, and she's there in that stellium with all those planets in Capricorn right now. Just think of her standing with her sword to cut through the bullshit into the truth of what's going on right now in our culture, in our society, with the lying and all the other things that are happening. And then we have Juno, and Juno is the goddess of meaningful partnership or marriage. And these are four, you know, archetypes of women that in some ways, you know, when you hear the word wife, some women are like, oh, keep me away, I don't want, you know, that. I love this image of Juno because she's wearing pants, she's out in nature. Her symbol is the peacock. She's really about commitment and really showing up with a partner and saying, you know, I can be supportive. I can actually be faithful. I can be your equal, and I know my value and worth of what I bring into this partnership or this marriage. When I was in Italy a couple of years ago, there was a beautiful sculpture of Juno, and I didn't have time to pull it, but it was laying on her side like this. Just so beautiful, you know. She knows her worth. She knows her value. She is able to stand equal, but also do the nurturing and the caring, you know, from that place of really truly wanting partnership and knowing that it takes some effort to be committed. And what that's, you know, what that's gonna take is really showing up and being there with all the ups and downs. Oh, one more. Don't you love this? With her peacock. So I'm gonna go over to these Vesta Mystery School cards and just look at these 4 feminine archetypes at their conscious and unconscious expression, because I've been talking about, and I want to inspire you all with these feminine archetypes towards their highest expression, but also there is unconscious expressions where if Juno's in a placement in your chart that is challenged by either angles of other planets or the house placement, there can be love addictions, codependencies, the inability to commit through struggles, locked in old archetypes of marriage, disappointment over broken unions. But at her best, sharing union with a partner, being supportive, faithful, refined, completing self with another. And it's a combination of these 2 signs, Libra and Scorpio. If you think of the alchemy of what Libra and Scorpio are. Scorpio, the depth of intimacy, and Libra, the balance of self and the other, of diplomacy and saying, my needs, your needs, both our needs. The symbol for Juno, and Emmy's on the call, she made these beautiful cards, my wonderful graphic artist. And so when you look in the chart, I always think of this as like a little pinwheel here. So Ceres in the chart looks like a big question mark, goddess of the great, as the great mother. And so as I mentioned, she is the urge to nurture and be nurtured, unconditional love and nourishment through growing and preparing food. Unconsciously though, and if it's in a placement in our chart where it's not getting the correct attention or we're not working with it consciously, it can be a lack of nurturing or food, inability to nurture the self and others. This is a combination of the energies of Cancer and Taurus and Virgo. Very earthy, 2 earth signs here, just being, and the Virgo health conscious with Cancer, the mothering. If we come up here to Pallas, goddess as warrior queen. Come on, computer. Here we are, wisdom, creative intelligence, equal to men, highly intelligent, resourceful, accomplished, seen in the world. Where Pallas Athena is where we come out and we don't have to say, hey, I have power, you know, let me show you my power. We show up knowing we inherently have power. We show up and listen to what's going on and speak when the moment's right. And we trust in our own creative intelligence and our wisdom. And we take ourselves seriously and we have inner authority so that we can be equal to the men in the room and not be either cowtailing or pleasing or feeling disempowered by what's going on, but we just stand equally. And there's always the choice to participate, observe, or remove yourself from most situations. Sometimes we have to stay, but most situations we have that power as women. So how resourceful are we? And can we let ourselves be seen? If not, we can be afraid of success, unable to find our career, not being able to trust in our own perceptions. And allowing other people, well, you know, what should I do? What do you think? Giving the power away to others, to some authority outside ourselves. So Pallas is a combination of Aquarius and Leo, which are opposite signs, the fire and the air, that are all about being unique and different. Aquarius and Leo being a leader, and Libra, the balance, which is wisdom. So then here we come to Vesta, goddess of the hearth fire. So Vesta is the temple priestess. She always keeps the fire lit. She never lets the fire go out. Sometimes lighting a candle and doing a meditation, staring at that flame, breathing it into your third chakra that says, I won't give up. I'll keep my fire lit. I don't have to start a raging fire. I can just choose to keep this fire lit. And this is being whole and complete unto oneself, spiritual focus and devotion to one's calling. And it's also about sacred sexuality. Where Vesta is prominent, there isn't just everyday ordinary sex. This is where it needs to be a sacred act. And if you have a predominant Vesta in your chart, you're not going to be able to just have ordinary sex. You're going to want to have it be a sacred act of loving. And so unconscious expression of Vesta can be repressed sexuality and fears of intimacy, workaholic tendencies with over-identification with purity. And that can be from the Virgo side of it. Virgo can be very picky, uni about purity and perfectionism. And Scorpio can be very invested in sexuality, but also there can be issues with sexuality around, you know, control and just all of that.